Hey spooky people, welcome back to my channel. Happy October, and because it is October, today we're going to be making this really cute and spooky Beetlejuice Tombstone door hanger. You can make this craft for under $10 and you only need a few materials, so let's get started. First of all, I picked up this blank wooden tombstone from Michael's. I think you can get it for about $5, but if it's 40% off, that's even better. Next, I'm just using a few different types of acrylic paints. I'm using white and black to make a gray, and I'm using red as well. You can get these paints really cheap at Walmart or Michael's. Next, all you're going to need is a paintbrush, and then as an optional material, I have here a glue gun and some craft moss that you can buy in a bag at Michael's. That is really all you need. I love this craft because it is so simple and so cheap and so fun to do. So to get started here, I'm just going to dump a glob of black paint and a glob of white paint onto my wooden tombstone. After that, all I did was scrunch up a paper towel, and then I dabbed the paper towel in both of the paints to mix them together to make a gray, and I'm going to use the paper towel as a sponge to dab the gray paint all over the tombstone to give the effect of stone. This step is really fun because you can totally customize your tombstone and get as creative with it as you want. You can mix the paints as much or as little as you want to make different gradients of gray. And the best thing about it too is if you don't like how it looks, you can easily put more paint on it and do it all over again. Just keep dabbing that paint until your entire tombstone is covered. When it is covered, it will look like this. Once your tombstone is completely covered, you can let it dry. I let mine dry overnight, but I find that acrylic paint usually dries pretty fast. But once your tombstone is dry, we can then start on the lettering process. Here is how mine turned out. I'm really happy with the way it looks. So the next step here is I'm just going to grab a small paintbrush that I can do fine details with, and I'm also going to grab my red acrylic paint, and then we are going to start lettering. If you're not confident with your handwriting, you could always print out a picture of Beetlejuice's actual tombstone and use graphite transfer paper to copy the letters onto your tombstone, and then you can trace over them that way. You could probably also buy letters at the craft store and put sticker letters on your tombstone, but today I'm going to freehand mine with paint. I have a reference photo here pulled up on my laptop, and I am ready to go. I am going to fast forward through this process because I don't want this video to be 3 hours long. I actually ended up going over my red paint about 4 times because I found that the red was very transparent. So I did about 4 coats of that until I liked the way it looked. And once all of the red paint was dry, I went back in with black paint and an even finer detail brush, and I outlined the letters in black just to make them pop more and to make them look more three-dimensional. I also went ahead and drew the arrow underneath of the word Beetlejuice as well. Once all of this dries, I'm going to go back in and add the Here Lies part on top, but I wanted to get the bigger letters out of the way to figure out the spacing that I needed and how to center everything. Now that everything is dry and I'm pretty happy with how it looks, I'm adding the Here Lies letters on top. Using my reference photo, I noticed that these letters are written in lowercase as the word Beetlejuice is written in uppercase, so I made sure to follow my reference photo exactly as I saw it, and I added the Here Lies part. I will show you guys what that process looks like once it is done. I also outlined the Here Lies words in black paint as well. using a smaller line weight with the finer detail brush, as I mentioned earlier. And once all of our paint is done and dry, we can then start decorating our tombstone. To begin with, I'm grabbing a handful of decorative moss and I'm just laying it on the bottom of the tombstone to see how I kind of want it positioned. I know Beetlejuice's actual tombstone doesn't have moss on it, but I wanted to make this one a little bit spookier, and I had a lot of this moss left over from another project, and I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to use it. I'm definitely taking creative liberty here and making Beetlejuice's tombstone a little bit different than it appears in the movie, but why not? It's a craft project. I figured why not be a little creative with it. Once I decide that I like the positioning of the moss, I'm just taking my glue gun and gluing it down. However, you can also use E6000 or maybe even a glue stick for this one. If you're going to hang this project in direct sunlight, such as on your front door, I wouldn't recommend using a hot glue gun just because the hot glue will melt if it gets too hot from the sun shining on it. I have had that happen to me before, so just letting you guys know that. E6000 should work good though in sunlight. I've used it outside before and haven't had any issues. So as you guys can see, I added moss to the top and bottom of my tombstone, and finally here I am taking these little plastic glittery spiders that I got from the dollar store for another project as well and didn't end up using them. I'm just going to take a few of these spiders and glue them right on top of the moss just to make my tombstone a little bit extra spooky. Also, green and purple are Beetlejuice colors, so I think that it is perfect that these spiders are purple. Now I'm just adding one more round of glue to make my project extra secure, and now that it is finally done, I will show you guys the final result. Here it is, my Beetlejuice tombstone. I am so happy with how this turned out. I think it looks so cute, and putting it right next to my other Beetlejuice decorations was a definite great idea. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of my decoration, and if you make this tombstone, please tag me in it on Instagram at goodvibesordie. I'd love to see how it turns out. That is it for me, guys. Thank you for watching and stay spooky.